Hey, Sean Frost, MVP Strategy, doing the Week 8 legislative update for the Florida Coalition of School Board Members. I've been watching the Florida channel since about 10 o'clock this morning. It's now about 5:30. I'm hoping to get this posted by about 6 o'clock tonight so that you can view it and be ready for the week ahead. It's been kind of a crazy week. As you know, it's been focused mostly on the safety bill and getting that moving and getting that sorted out. So that was the topic today in the Senate on a rare Saturday session. Really, it's kind of just moving along as anticipated. A couple minor changes. The sale of bump stocks would be prohibited, as well possession, and folks will have to turn those in before October 1st, 2018. There were multiple attempts to ban assault weapons in different forms. In fact, for about 15 minutes there was an amendment adopted that would have banned AR-15s for 2 years, while the Senate studies, or not the Senate, but the newly formed Safety Commission, Safe Schools Commission, would have studied the issue and then made a final determination as to whether they should be sold again. But it was only AR-15s, and it was reconsidered and ultimately defeated 21-17. And one of the strangest amendments I've seen is that as a result of all the concerns about the teachers not being racially sensitive, or any member of the Marshall program not being racially sensitive enough, they included an amendment to add 12 hours of diversity training. That was Senator Brannon's amendment to the Marshall program, which now makes it 144 hours. So we'll see if the House will accept that. But really, that was... It's moving along kind of as everyone expected. So now I'll just give you a quick update of where we are with the initiatives for the Florida Coalition of School Board Members. And the appropriation, of course, it was determined that was not feasible this session because, you know, and especially in light of all the member projects being cut. So we won't discuss that. Sunshine, that may need a push. It passed in the Senate. It has it's ready for the floor in the House. So my guess is that's part of the final week debate, discussion, and trade issues. So that may be something we can push on this week, would be the Sunshine Bill, the Open Meetings Bill. So that would be House Bill 79. The Hope Scholarship, well positioned. It's in multiple pieces of legislation. It's in 7055. It's also standalone. It was on second reading yesterday, so it should be up Monday on final passage. So that's House Bill 1. That is very well positioned to succeed as a school choice program. Tax referenda. That's another one that is on the fence. It passed Friday via 11-7, but it has 4 committee stops. It still has to get through rules and then to the floor. So that one is doubtful, but you never know. Union decertify, that was a must-win, and it is winning. It got amended back on to 7055 in committee, and then yesterday it was challenged. And straight up, just a straight up challenge to strip that off by Senator Thurston, and that was defeated. So that one is extremely well positioned. It seems like it's sort of as much of a done deal as anything is this session. So the union recertification process for those that fall below 50% is well positioned. Pencil and paper, that is a cost that is essential to be cut. So we won't see that this year. Try it again next year. We did have support over in the House and also in the Senate for most of the session, but now we're in the final phases of the budget process, and actually all of the appropriations, I believe, have been rolled up to the full chairs now from the sub chairs, and that will go on throughout the week. So we'll have to get the final budget together by Tuesday so that they can vote on it in time to get out of there. So pencil paper is gone. Informing parents of choices, that's included in 1279. Transparency on board spending, that's in 7055. It's in a number of bills. That seems to be well positioned. The reading ESA, that was added back in. That seems to be moving well. Seems to be part of the overall finished product of 7055, as are the home education. They stripped out some of the concerning language that home educators had, and there is an appropriation for dual enrollment for home educated students now. So that is moving along, as is the virtual education for military families. Term limits, sorry, it's dead. It didn't get heard in the Senate. But the good news is that's up in the CRC, and if the coalition ever decides to weigh in on CRC issues, they can certainly do that. Campus free speech, that's one of those that's actually in a bit of danger. It's well positioned in the House. I believe it's up for final passage actually Monday. House Bill 909 with Rommel. But if we want to get that done, that's one of the things we can work on in the Senate this week, is to get that across the finish line. College revamp of Senate Bill 4, I'm sure that's in discussion. There's really nothing we can do other than express our support for it over in the House. So maybe that's one of those things where if we support that in the House and we support campus free speech in the Senate, we can get somewhere we need to, or tax referenda in the Senate to get that moving. Anyway, those are things you could work on. You could reach out to the senators and push, or in the case of the college revamp, reach out to the House and push. And SAT, ACT, there was a little bit of movement on that, but it was specific to Spanish-speaking students and offering it in Spanish, primarily for the students from Puerto Rico who are here as a result of the hurricanes this year. Another piece of good news is the state motto was amended on to 7055. So in God we trust, assuming 7055 goes to plan and everyone supports it in both chambers. It should, and it seems to be the case. As you recall, we had House Education Chair Baleka join us for our legislative town hall, and if you haven't listened to that, go ahead and listen to the replay. But he mentioned that the negotiations are going well, and we see that in the policy being adopted, and we saw that financial literacy got pulled out in other bills to consider, if you will. Financial literacy, that's one we didn't really consider much. We considered certain portions of it, but not as a graduation requirement. And in fact, we tried to work something out, and the House version was pretty good, but that seems to have been completely eliminated from 7055 and completely out of play this year again. And I don't know that any of you will be super hurt about that. CPR, our friends in Brevard, they pushed this through, and Senator Mayfield, it seems, was able to get that put into 7055 as an amendment. So if you support that's going well. And there was also a complete revamp of early education with Representative Grawl. We didn't really consider that. It's something to think about. But I believe it's 1091. And it was unanimously voted, so that probably means it was supported by DOE and also the Republicans. And I know that the Florida Foundation for Florida's Future supported that, and they were actively promoting that bill. But really, that's it. So we're in a good posture. I'd be curious to see how these next couple weeks go. If there's something you want to consider in the safety bill supporting, whether it's the Marshall program or the way that the funding is done. Right now, the funding is going to be divided into buckets between the Marshall program and SROs. So if you want it to be all in one bucket and then let the districts decide, that's up to you. Or if you want to come out in support of the Marshall program, that's another thing, especially if you want to add to the way it's implemented or something like that. But primarily what you can push on is the Sunshine Bill, the tax referenda bill over in the Senate. Those both, well, not the Senate, the Sunshine Bill in the House, the tax referenda bill in the Senate, the campus free speech bill in the Senate, and the college revamp in the House. And hopefully, we'll get to where we are. It's been a tough and strange session, but this week will be interesting. I'll be up there, and be sure to reach out to me. I'll be giving you daily updates. Watch for those. And I think our president, Bridget, is actually going to be able to join us up there on Wednesday. So just hang in there, keep pushing, and we'll get there. And stay relentlessly dedicated to student success, and you will win. Okay.